Hi, and welcome back to Spirit of the Valley. Last time we were here, I had Cindy Pierce with me, and I think I had witnesses in the audience, and I've held them. I called a few people and said, "You heard her say that, right? She'll be back." Well, by golly, she's back. She had much too much to say to get in, and I knew she would, in 30 minutes. And I think now is when you wanted to talk a little bit about what a couple of things coming up and a couple of things you want to do and a couple of themes that you still didn't touch on last time.
Yeah.
So tell me.
Well, why don't I start with what we were talking about, ways to help kids sort of navigate this complicated culture. And I mean, for young men and women and adults really. And part of it was the, sort of being aware of how many choices you have, reducing that, tuning into your inner compass, putting down your phone, sort of regulating how much you use it. But another thing is gathering a healthy crew. And what I think people ask me all the time, how did you get so comfortable with your body? How did you get so comfortable with yourself? How did you get so comfortable in just living and being able to make mistakes, fall on your face, pick yourself back up? Right. And I do credit ski racing for that, like resilience, because 95% of the time it doesn't go the way you want it to go, so you pick yourself back up and keep going. But within my family, what I called sort of my wise women panel were my sisters and my sisters-in-law, and who would gather around the living room. So within my family, I had these women who shared things openly and honestly in all different ways. Some of them not so open, but would make sense of things for me. So that was one part of it. But then it started to extend out. And then it was, well, obviously there's men and women who are, so sometimes it's your healthy crew is your peers, the good people you find who have got your back, who are honest with you, who are supportive, genuinely kind. And as a kid, you got to really look around. I say to my kids and kids I speak to, you got to tune into, is this really a good friend? And being aware of that instead of clamoring to try to, and then as well as the role models. Who are the role models? Right. And you don't even have to acknowledge a role model, but there's people you look at and say, that teacher, that coach, that scout leader, that drum teacher. Right. Who are the adults in your life? For me, I had enough siblings to go around. But I did start to extend beyond. Because your family isn't always your healthy tribe. I mean, I had siblings who were doing things that were not a great role model, not great things, but that was also handy too.
Well,
and that shaped where I went.
You got to learn the don'ts as well as the do's.
Yes, indeed. So I think adults in your life, who you're seeing the choices they make, the consequences that come with those choices, and just how they live their life. Or it may be someone who's really you tap into outside your family because your family isn't your healthy crew. So I think that's what, if everyone could establish that, and in college, particularly in college, now we have this, the party scene in college is people say, oh, I hear these, people my age, you're 47 and you're bragging about how much you drank. I'm a little sad for that person, for starters. But the fact that they're saying, it's, we drank this much. It's like, you did not drink. On a campus, I went to a huge party school, the University of New Hampshire. I was very tapped into a lot of friends at Dartmouth. Back then, once or twice a semester, you heard about someone who was hospitalized. There are times on these campuses at Dartmouth, one Saturday night, not homecoming, 9 students are hospitalized for drinking to the point of beyond blacked out. I mean,
and sometimes accidental.
Need to have their stomach bug. Right. Yeah. Sometimes accidental, but mostly it is a choice because it's such an accepted sort of funny thing to do.
It is. There's still, unfortunately, this thing about let's get wasted tonight and let's do this and that. I had a friend, Sue Wright.
Susan Wright,
when she was a dean of a class, and she used to get calls all the time. And one night, a guy fell off the balcony at one of the frat houses, and I thought, boy, that's the extreme. I mean, that's really when you really don't know where you are.
Right.
And that would
but
scare
that's very
anybody.
Common.
Now it seems to be even more common. That I'm hearing.
It's extremely common. It's considered. It's accepted, and I think. Once again, the number of choices, the options in our lives,
it's too
much. The pressure of school and what's coming after school, that do kids just want to unplug? Exactly. What motivates it? But it's also a way to get an excuse for behavior. Yeah. It excuses, you can just say, I was out of my mind. I was fully blacked out. And that's the easy way to say, or, who you hooked up with. I was drunk. So, or why didn't I use a condom? I was so wasted. And, you hear people, college students say to me all the time, all the adults think we don't use condoms. And we all are so vigilant about condoms. Well, you are until you're, in a sober state.
Yeah,
That's your
exactly.
idea.
Exactly.
But in reality, when the situation comes up,
Exactly.
you don't choose to use a
Nope.
condom for whatever
Nope.
reason. So STDs are a huge problem, and everyone can. I see it as almost all guys in college, men know that you cannot physically restrain a woman, and that no means no. That is locked into most
it
people's.
really
And
is.
if it isn't, they've been
They're way behind the eight ball.
way behind. So they know that. But nowadays, you can justify consent by how wasted a person is, and it can look like consent, and you're not physically restrained because the alcohol is restraining a woman
Exactly,
for
yeah.
you. Now, whose
Exactly.
responsibility is that? It is the man. The man is going to legally be responsible if he has sex and is called on.
Right.
However, if a woman is in a situation and she can't remember, but she knows in the morning she has had sexual,
Right.
has had intercourse,
Right.
the evidence is there, but she can't remember, she cannot,
There's
follow
some
that through
accountability.
legally. So what we put, there is accountability. The amount people drink is creating all sorts of problems. And the drunken hookup culture is just the accepted thing. So that's a
Exactly
big
right.
thing I talk
And
to students about.
Watch anything you ever see, films or clips of spring break, and you know what you're
Right,
saying. I
right.
mean, that's a classic case of all it is drinking and sex.
And alcohol is used as, it's used as the excuse.
Mm-hmm.
It's used as it's everything. I mean, and everyone says, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's just how
And I
it
think
is.
some people who are inhibited say, I want to get to that place
It's
where
a
I'm not
social
so
lubricant.
inhibited.
Right.
I never have drunk, and that
Neither have I.
used to be very difficult at certain ages. We used to get
Right.
really railed on. For
Oh,
just well,
people
little
can't
wussy.
stand it.
Yeah. But I learned that it was okay. I became just immune to the kidding.
Right.
Because I said, what are they kidding about? Why is that better than this?
Right.
Why
Right.
So I had a friend once who at age 40 was still drinking way too much. I mean, by that point with kids and all, it wasn't funny anymore seeing him with a
Right.
lampshade on his head. And I said, John, or my husband said, John, I think you have a little problem here. He said, no, she has the problem. She doesn't drink.
Yeah.
I almost slapped him. I mean,
Yeah.
I was that angry
It's
at being
yeah.
put down for
It's
not
exhausting.
drinking. But it does get exhausting until you go through the games of filling your glass up with it's vodka,
Right.
just because you think got to have something in your hand. Now I just say, you know what, water's my drink of choice. Thank you
Right.
very much.
Yep.
But there's so much intimidation. There's so much pressure. And as you said, I didn't have all these choices. I didn't have all the pornography and the web and the whole bit when I was growing up.
So the stress of that.
Didn't have
Right.
the choice. If I made a
Right.
choice, it was either going to be a good or a bad one, but I couldn't blame it on anything.
Right. And feelings, I think people use it as, there's so much to make you feel sexually inadequate.
Yep.
Women feel inadequate about their bodies.
Oh.
Now, manorexic training camp magazines are all over the place. If you don't have a
Absolutely.
six-pack.
Exactly.
And then porn doesn't help because it's giving you an idea of how your anatomy should be looking and you're not living up to it. So when you feel inadequate, sexually and socially, there is more drive to drink.
You bet.
And people think, oh, it's peer pressure that if you want to be part of our group, you need to drink. It's really not that. No one likes,
it's
as you
from
know,
within.
people are saying, no one likes a sober person in the room because they're seeing them use alcohol. And I call it
Judging.
the drink in hand. It doesn't matter. People are awkward
Yeah.
and they have a drink in their hand. Doesn't matter if they're first or they're 12th. All of a
Exactly.
sudden they have this confidence and comfort because they got a drink in their hand.
Exactly.
So they hide behind the alcohol. And so really a sober person in the room is too much of I have known from a young, because I started going to parties in high school as a sober person, as a righteous sober person. You do what you're doing, you make your choices, but for me, this is what I'm doing.
It ain't-
And people want, do you want to hold this so you feel more comfortable at the party?
Yeah, they project
And-
this
yes.
stuff.
And I still, as an adult at 47, say, would you want me to clean out this beer bottle and we'll fill it up with water and then you can feel more comfortable? I'm like, do you want me to do that so you feel more comfortable? Because really at all ages, it's more about people feeling judged by a sober person.
It's very judgmental.
And-
And I find that now, I mean, the last 20 years of my life probably or more, I just said, the heck with it. I mean, I'm going to, no, I don't want to drink. Thank you very much. You
Yeah.
have some water?
Yeah.
And everybody does.
And you can train people. It takes training.
It does.
You train
Now
your
they all
people.
know.
They're like, okay,
they have a glass of ice water at my
Right,
place when I
right.
come to the table.
Right.
I mean, but there's also more of me around. There are more
Right.
people cutting back. There are
Yeah.
more people limiting
And
themselves
that's-
to a little bit of wine or a little.
This is true in college too.
Yeah.
There is a much more. I was one of two people. The other person who was at parties who didn't drink. Another person had been through rehab a couple times. Now, in all colleges across this country, there's a whole group. There's much more support for people who don't drink.
Absolutely.
However, the people who are drinking significantly more than they ever have
They're making
before.
up for the others.
And it's over.
Well, they have
the top.
sober dorms.
They do.
They're
Now,
really
now all the
accommodating,
sober
but that-
dorms aren't that
that's tricky.
sober.
No, I think
some
they
people
sneak
do.
it.
Yeah, or they want to be in
this
the
is-
dorm because it's a quiet dorm.
Yeah.
and they don't party there,
Exactly.
but they go elsewhere.
Exactly.
Um,
For those who want the quiet, it works.
but that's.
I suppose that they all get stretched a bit anyway after
Yeah.
they've started.
But I think there's more support for people who choose not to drink.
I think
but-
there's less kidding. I think there's less humility. I mean, they try to make you feel like you really are a really
Yeah.
weird person
Yeah.
for not drinking.
And I think you get comfortable being a weird person.
Oh,
I was like,
absolutely.
well,
Hey, you know
I mean,
what?
I'm growing up in
If
an
that's what you
inn.
think of me. I don't know that I'd
Yeah.
go with your values too much.
I got pretty comfortable giving people, speaking very freely.
Sure.
And I also learned that 2.5 hours into a party, being in an inn growing up, having lots of siblings, I knew that, and I still to this day, you go to a wedding, 2.5 hours in, you can speak very freely.
Absolutely.
Because people are
They're-
much more, they're
yeah,
out of their
they're gone.
mind. So I take a little bit of advantage of that. And so the practice
Why
of
not?
being, and this is part of what got me here, is that I will say anything because I feel comfortable no matter what. I don't need anything to
Well,
to get
and this
me
can go
in
into the sexual world too. This
Right,
can be,
right.
I'm sorry, I'm not that, I don't do that.
Right.
Or I'm not ready
and
for
that,
that yet.
yeah, and that helps. People say, how did you, I didn't have a negative sexual experience because I was sober. Every sexual experience I had
Exactly.
was a choice.
Exactly.
I had some near sketchy situations. My sober state helped me
Yep.
get myself out of them. And people say to me, what is it? I'm not saying everyone should be sober, but really, why am I comfortable? Why did I land at 47 as a regular average looking like, big bone, big
Here she goes.
muscle
This is what I
lady
like, folks.
with a layer of frosting? Boom.
she's not
Why am I
Italian,
comfortable
but-
in that? Yeah, I know I'm not Italian. That's because I had
have-
healthy sexual
Yes.
experience that I chose.
And
Now,
you-
if something negative happens, you can rewrite the script.
Of course, and start over, but it's a choice. That's why the woman saying, well, he took advantage of me because I was drunk. Well, who made you drink? I mean, you
And
did- you
sometimes
did do
there
that.
is, yeah, sometimes
And that
there
isn't
is,
always
that's
true,
right.
but I mean, it isn't always a one-sided
Right.
situation.
But the culture is supporting. It's not just supporting, it's encouraging, it's demanding that people drink that much.
It's unbelievable
And
what
every
happens.
person is responsible for what goes, unless they're drugged.
Right.
But at a certain point, refilling of cups, how things go, I mean, everyone's contributing to this.
course.
But people need to, and they need to say, this isn't right, my inner compass says this isn't
And,
right,
and
I'm
not
gonna
that
do
many
this
people
differently.
of younger ages are comfortable with themselves enough to say,
How could
I
you be
don't-
comfortable
I
in
d-
this day and age?
Exactly, I don't drink.
Right.
It's real simple, 3 words, I don't drink.
And
But I didn't say that for the longest time.
It's actually easier for people who don't drink at all
Yeah.
than people who want to drink sometimes and
Occasionally.
not other. That's much more difficult.
It
That's
is.
very difficult on college students and anyone.
Right.
Because they've seen you drink, they want you to drink the way you were drinking in that situation. So when you're choosing not to, then it throws them off their game.
Yes, it does.
And that's actually much more. It's much more easy to be like, I'm the weirdo who
Hey,
doesn't drink.
people, they know me, I'm known for that, and I'm great with it. There were certain vulnerable ages where they just made fun of you and thought, well, what are you being such a baby for?
Yeah.
And I said, first of all, I have an alcoholic father and a brother. That wasn't my reason. My
Right.
reason was I didn't like any of it, and I didn't want to be sick, and I didn't like the way the couple of bad episodes turned out, and I
Right.
just said,
Done.
I just shot Sunday. I just wasted a whole day by feeling, why would I do that?
Right.
So anyway, that's another thing. I want to quickly get after a couple of things you were talking about before. The
wanna
healthy crew was the big deal.
And how about, could I talk about a little bit about porn?
Oh, yes.
This is very important because
And don't be worried.
I will.
The kids can stay in the
It's
room.
okay. Just that this is the biggest thing so people who feel inadequate. That's your major source. The way porn stars and the people in them, how their bodies look, surgically altered.
Right.
Females surgically altered, tattooed to look a certain way. All of their anatomy and how the sex goes down, how it all works out, is so misleading. And so kids get this idea. The average age a boy looks at porn in this culture, gay or straight, is 11 and a half. First sexual experiences come years after that. So if you've seen this, and your expectation is there, you get to your first sexual experiences, and the first thing you say is, something's not right here. You're not doing. The first tendency for kids is to blame their partner.
Yep.
So then women feel inadequate about their
Right.
bodies. They now have genital image issues versus just body image issues, which is enough to take them down. So from there, after they have several experiences, they realize, whoa, wait, this isn't my partner. This might be me. Now they feel inadequate about their own body. Erectile dysfunction is a huge issue
you see
in
any more ads on
college
TV than
campuses.
that?
No, but college campuses.
Oh, that's when
not
they're
for
really
physiological
gonna-
reasons,
Ooh.
for psychological reasons. On the rise. And alcohol doesn't help that situation. But when you feel inadequate, when it's not looking like the way you see it on your computer screen,
Right.
screws you up. Your expectations get warped. Your feelings about and much more women are asking for violent sex, and even men are saying to me, "Why do women like to be hit? What's with that?" This is all being pumped in the culture. And in the music, in porn, women who don't even look at porn, they hear about what men think is hot,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I have to act that way." Well, they don't even know about their own pleasure zones, yet they're
And these are
performing
grown-
all these.
grown women.
These are grown women. These are brilliant women.
These are not vulnerable children.
These are college students who are like, "Oh, I'll do that." My feeling is you can do any kinky, stinky thing you want to do, but first you better know how your pleasure zones work. So that's part of my message, is pleasure zones.
And that's where the doorbell comes in.
And
but
that's where we
another
draw the
story.
line.
You wanted to also mention a couple of things that were coming up in your
Right.
life with this
Local performances.
material, local.
Yes. So I'm traveling to colleges away from here. I'm also speaking at Dartmouth twice this
You're
fall
everywhere.
privately. But I'm speaking I'm doing a fundraiser at the Tupelo on November 15th for the Norwich Child Care Center. And the show is called Kids, Parents, and Sex, Who's on Top? It is not for children. And it's at 7 o'clock at the Tupelo on November 15th. And that is about the importance of sex education for your kids, all with humor, but also some of the things I've been talking about here. So because of what's coming in the culture, coming down the pike, why it's important to teach your kids about sex now, so you don't have to answer these questions in dicey times when it's awkward and you're already
They're
beyond.
already misinformed.
Yeah, and they're already misinformed. You got to backpedal. The backpedal's tough. It's also about sex and being a parent and keeping sex in your life and staying in love and how to do
There you
that,
go.
and the humor. And I will only be making fun of myself, as always. My poor husband gets thrown under the bus.
Oh, he's got to be one of
He
the
is a champ.
strongest people
He
in
was
the world.
pretty nervous at first, and then he saw someone came up to him and said, "I am so glad my wife's not doing a one-woman show about her sex life, but I'm sure glad yours is, because I learned a lot." And he thought, wow. And he's watched.
It's all positive.
I sort of practice some of the stuff without knowing it. He coached the Dartmouth women's ski team, and around the dinner table, I would have these gals. I'm giving them all the things before it was a show, and he would just be like, "I'm going to step in the kitchen and do the dishes," and he just watched these women, and he knew this empowers.
It does,
people.
and that word is so huge.
Yeah.
Give them the voice, give them the power to say no or whatever it needs to be said. Okay, then you
And
have
then I have
something
another,
else in
Norwich. The Norwich Library is doing a fundraising week. I'm going to be on Monday night, November 5th, an event. It's Laughing Matters is the theme. And what I'm going to do with the Norwich Bookstore, I'm going to talk about books and some news stories that I haven't shared on stage that these books sort of inspired me. So funny books, my heroes, books that make me laugh and tell some different kinds of stories those nights.
I don't know how you do all this.
ADHD really comes in handy, doesn't it? I think
Well,
we've talked about this.
yes,
You might
we
have a little yourself.
Yes, a little bit. I'm loaded.
It just keeps you, I do have to now limit it.
But you find ultimately, and when you get to be my age, you just learn that, you know what, I think today's the day to go slower.
Right.
You can feel it.
We were talking, we had to be
accumulate.
trained Being present. John Kabat-Zinn
See?
taught us.
John Kabat-Zinn, he's next week.
Kabat-Zinn, that's
Kabat,
it, yeah.
he's wonderful.
He is.
But mindfulness is something that every one of you ought to be reading about, and John Kabat-Zinn is probably the master.
Helped both of us.
And we've both learned a lot from it, and it makes your life so much happier. And in fact, my husband could notice it almost immediately, in that I wasn't jumping up and down out of the couch, I got to go finish
Right.
this and do that and do that, and I was more relaxed and happier, and we were better, and
Right.
everything was good.
Yeah.
So it matters that you take time
Being
to
present.
just look within yourself and just be where you are right now, and not 18 days ahead worrying about the carpool you're going to
Right.
deal with. So that's the 5th of November,
That's the 5th of November. It's
Okay.
a Monday night, the
And
first
then the-
Monday in November.
and then the Tupelo one is the
November 15th.
November 15th. So these are both November,
Yeah.
both local, both a little bit different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. One about parenting kids and teaching kids, and one about laughter and what makes me laugh, and other
Man.
kinds of stories.
Oh, I think I might have to go there. But Cindy is someone who most of the Valley recognizes in a
yeah.
pretty good way.
Yeah,
a pretty
mostly.
interesting way. Not the way that you remember an old friend from other places, but you have taught more people how to talk about sex, how to be comfortable in their own skin, how to talk to their kids. I think what you've done has been a huge service, just because we all, whatever generation, God knows my parents' mouth was zipped when that came to this. And then as it got down to us, we were better, but not perfect. And my kids are so open with their kids, and not probably like you, quite that open, but trying to be.
But boy, if they're trying,
Trying.
some aren't even trying.
They're trying. My kids know all the anatomical words. They don't have to
That
make up
is
some silly name
great.
for body parts. And,
Yeah.
but it makes it healthy. It makes it not taboo. It makes it just part of life. I mean, when I have a little 6-year-old grandson, and he said, "Mom, I'm really sorry, but I have to go to the bathroom." And she said, "That's good. That's healthy." It's that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
It's that kind of feeling. You're not putting me out to have to stop for that. That's,
Right.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
And things like that are good for you. And your discussions are healthy. Your openness is healthy. And I'm sure you've helped people dare.
People say
do
that to
better
me
with
all the
it.
time.
I hope
People
so.
say, "You have helped me
I'm so
laugh
glad.
more about sex. I was so uptight and so, and I really talk about, your husband is not going to be that, he's much less critical than you think. And, he's just hoping for more opportunities to be naked with you more.
Exactly.
That's really what he's hoping. He's not critical about how you look.
It's pretty basic.
And I am a flaming example of regular woman with my gray hair.
Oh,
and people say, women who spend so much time trying to shift and change and lamenting their body, get behind. If you can find something you can get behind, I say to women, like, get off the scale, stop reading magazines, because the
Right.
more you read, you're going to feel inadequate about your
they
body.
kill you.
I mean, hungry women on every page. I mean, and all the, Misrepresentation is a great film everyone should see. That's
I saw that on Facebook too.
But stop focusing on what you could be and you should be, and get behind what you are. And if you can't, I say, if you like your fingernails, focus on them. Don't start saying, "I don't like this, I got to change that." If you like your elbows, it may be your
It's
elbows,
that
it may
basic.
be your heels. Start there and
It's
start
that
focusing on what you like,
basic.
and it's that basic.
I was talking with someone who I've worked with before over sleep issues, I told you about. And I had this extra little something going on here, and I said, "I am just so angry with this body right now. I'm just so angry at it that my metabolism is obviously slowed enough to let it stay on in spite of my activity level and good eating." And she said, you've got to just put that down and look at what your body has done for you.
And what your body can do.
Why don't you just
Like,
look
I've
at
seen her at the gym.
How far you've
She's
gotten.
hardcore.
Look at the Proudy ride you do. Why
Right.
don't you just thank your body?
Yes, be
for what it's
grateful
done
for what it
you.
can do.
And I get that intellectually, and I'm forever saying, I get it. But then I go back to saying, but that little thing.
But if every
But-
day you can keep being grateful,
It's
like
true.
I talked about
It's true.
the gratitude.
It's true.
Last time we spoke. But being grateful for what it's capable of, like just what you
Yeah.
said, focusing on
Look
that.
what it's done for you. Why
Yeah.
don't define yourself by that little bit that you don't like.
Frosting.
The
Frosting.
rest of it.
Healthy. If you got left on the back porch, you could last
and
a
go
few
out
days.
in a
That's
group
my
and you
feeling.
look around and you say you probably in any group you'll probably look as healthy as or healthier than a lot of them.
But really, the healthy, like you're at the gym, you ride the Proudy, you take care of yourself, you glow. I'm so surprised to hear, that you're going to be 70.
Yep.
Like, I was so surprised. I see you at the gym. You've got fire, you've got energy. You're behind who you are. And that glow, I think, when I was in college, someone once said to me, you wear those jeans all the time, but you actually don't look that good in them. And I said, here's the thing. I may not look good out there, but I feel great in these things. I said, when I have these on, these are my power jeans. So it's from inside here that I feel absolutely fantastic, and I feel like I can do anything.
And
yesterday,
that's a
and
conversation
the kid was
stopper.
like, whoa, it was a boy. He was like,
You just
whoa,
shut him right
humble
down.
pie. And I was buying a dress yesterday. I had to go to this pretty formal wedding, and I tried on 6 dresses, and I was
shopping isn't
confined.
always fun if you're not svelte.
Yeah, I'm thick. So I'm in there packing it in, and I got in this one dress, and I said, this one, I can dance, I can eat my meal, and if I had to, I could climb a fence in a pinch. And that's how I get in clothes. I need to have that option. I might have to sprint somewhere or climb a fence. And that's when you feel yourself in it.
And this is such a healthy message. I mean, I wish this person were looking at you because this is stuff I hear. And sometimes it's really hard, other times it's easy because you're doing something I'm going to continue doing what I do. Nothing stops me, but it's still intellectually you know it all.
Right.
Emotionally is a different story.
But you just keep
But you know what?
seeing it.
You're a great example for how to go at it, and just say, I'm here and I'm
Right.
good and look what I'm wearing, look what I'm
Right.
doing. Who
And
cares what
you know what?
think?
As a parent, I hear so many women say, "I can't believe my daughter has struggles with her body," but yet this mother is constantly talking about the weight she lost, the weight she wants to lose, and how
Yeah.
she doesn't look and she looks fat, and they want to keep this negative speak going.
Yeah.
But they think the daughter should
But they're
naturally come
preaching
to
something
that.
different.
And I had a father who was like, "You need meat on your bones. You're an athlete.
Good.
Your scarred up legs mean you lived your
Good.
life."
See,
And he
that's
was
the
like,
message.
"You go." And he was so proud of what I could physically do, being valued for what your body can do rather than what it looks like.
I think that's all you have to say about it is just look what it's done for you.
Right.
Or in my case, look how many years it's done for this. All the sports I wanted, everything I ever wanted
Right.
to do, I could do. And the grandkids love it because I can roughhouse, I can throw them
Right.
around, I can
Yes.
be wrestling with.
I'm not sure I'm going to be that way at
Oh, I
70.
love
I'm looking
it.
at you saying, "I'm not
When
gonna
I
be-
have to
I'm gonna be
stop
on the
doing
couch."
that,
Yeah.
I'm the horse for the horseback ride, and I love that. And I think that's the kind of thing you have to focus on. Look what you're getting out of it, and they appreciate it because
Right.
their other grandparents don't do that kind
Right.
of stuff. So I took my grandson fishing recently, and it was quite funny because we were in a rowboat and he caught a fish, and I was hoping he wouldn't really, because I'm not a fisher person.
Getting that hook
I
out.
had a glove in the back of the current just in case, and he caught this, I don't know, 8-inch thing, and I said, oh no, you didn't. And I reached for this glove, and I go to grab the fish, and he jumps out of my hand, and I'm freaking out, and he's going, Gramps, it's okay,
He's talking
we
you
still
down.
have him. And I said, well, maybe I'll try and get it out of the mouth now, and he jumped right out of my hands, so I said, put him in the water, and we're going to row very slowly into the dock, and your grandfather's going to get him out. So we went in there very slowly, and Jim said, what are you asking me for? I don't know. He put on the glove, and he did it, because he wanted to be the man.
Yeah.
And he was alive. But it was that kind of thing where it's something we're both going to remember forever, because we
Right.
were laughing so hard. I said, Henry, I'm really freaking out.
Those are the
But I'm
best
going to get
moments.
you.
That's
and I've admitted
unexpected
to him that I
joy.
really couldn't. I said, I don't know if I can do that again, Henry. He said, well, maybe Poppy will come next time.
Yeah.
I mean, and he won't. But so yeah, it's finding the good, and finding it in your case with this population, teaching them that it's there. I would think that every one of you has something that you have to like and be grateful for about who you are.
About who you are?
And you have to just kind of eliminate all the garbage that's
Because there's too many
superficial.
messages. Too many messages
they're
that
just
says
being
you're not
bombarded.
enough. You're not enough.
And you can't take in that kind of overload.
Yeah. Got to get behind who you are. Yeah.
You're a great example of that.
Well, thank
I
you.
think
Thank
that's
you.
wonderful, and I think it comes across. I mean, no one could do what you do in your doorbell thing without being very comfortable in your own skin. You couldn't do it.
I know.
I couldn't do it, and I don't
What
know
are my
another
kids
soul
going to
that
say
could.
later?
Well, I just think it's no. They're going to be proud of you.
Later, I think when they're 40.
You
But there's
broke
going to be
some ground,
there's some rough years
and they're
coming.
going to know that you broke some ground,
Right.
And made this whole taboo topic not taboo and very, very much approachable and discussable.
Oh, it's fun. It's
So you've
fun.
done wonders. People, it happened again. We're out of time, and this is a classic example of why fun people make time fly. And Cindy is one of those, maybe right up there at the top of the list. But it's been so much fun having you here.
Judy,
And
thank you. So
appreciate
fun
your
to
coming
chat.
back.
I really
and
appreciate it.
haven't, and it was fun to connect with her after. When I
After-
saw
I mean,
you
we
at that
keep
party, it was, I
reconnecting.
hadn't seen you since I'd been in Marion Cross
Right.
with you.
And then at the gym.
And the
And
gym.
then here we are.
And here we are. And I just find what you do is just so admirable and obviously so helpful to so
Well,
many.
thank
so
you. Thank
keep
you.
it up.
Thanks for having me.
Keep it up.
Really
I wish you'd
appreciate
been
it.
around when my kids needed you. Now they're fine,
Now they're fine. It all works out.
in spite of me.
Well, because of you.
But anyway, we're lucky to have had her. And again, it's cp@doorbell.
cpdoorbell
Oh,
at
CP
gmail.com.
Thank you. I'm glad I
And
didn't.
www.cindy-pierce.com.
.com. Her website's fun and it's still evolving.
It's evolving. It's about
But
to be
it's
revamped
fun.
in the
It's
next
got some
week. It'll be
classic
changed.
pictures of her on the stage doing her thing with her Italian arms going
Yeah,
absolutely nuts.
I can't help myself.
I'm sure you can't, but you get in positions I've never seen people in. And we're lucky to have had her here. That's all I can say, because you do a great deal of good for a lot of people that wouldn't hear this stuff right.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise.
thank you.
So
Thank
we're
you.
lucky. Thanks.
All right.
Tune in again soon. This show should be on next week.
Okay, great.
And I put it on Facebook, and then you can share it with all of your friends, so it'll sort of ripple
Okay,
through
great.
your world.
All right.
And then I'll send you the way to find it on the web for people who don't get Channel 8.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
You get it out in the boonies?
No.
Oh,
We have DirecTV.
that's why.
So we can't get
You
it,
don't
you
have
know,
cable.
nothing like, yeah.
Well, I get things burned here. I'll get an extra copy for you.
All right.
Or others if they want to
Perfect.
see. I'll give you a few.
Yeah, you know what, if you, I'm psyched to have it on Facebook and then I'll spread it around.
Okay, but you'll have a copy or two of your own.
Could I put it on my website?
Of course.
Great.
We love to have this kind of stuff linked.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.